very much for participating to our first Alyssa Film Festival. Thank you so much. It was the first screening of the festival today. Second one will be Bonne Mère at 8:30 p.m. We are very happy, very excited. So first, I wanted for you to give you like an introduction. Can you give us an introduction? How do you feel about your movie being screened in London for the first time? And how do you feel about having our Tunisian community here watching your movie for the first time in London?
Yes, so hi everybody. I'm Mehdi, I'm in Tunis. I'm very happy about this initiative, you know. We are making films to be screened, so each screening I'm very happy to see the audience, and I'm really happy to see audience in theaters, you know, after pandemic and after what we lived. So I'm very happy, and actually it's not the first screening of A Son in London, because the film was screened during the London Film Festival in the British Film Institute. So, but anyway, I'm always happy to share the film with the audience, and very happy to have their feedback.
Excellent. We have just been joined by Mahmoud bin Mahmoud and Simi Kili, two directors, Tunisian directors, of two other films participate for our festival. And they say hi to you, Mahdi.
Yeah.
So we can start our Q&A session. As a director, can you tell us about how this idea came up of a son? Just like a brief background on how the whole idea, any highlights, any stories or memories on that?
Yeah, for sure. So just before to start, excuse my English that is not excellent, but I will do my best to. I will do my best.
Don't worry.
Thank you. So I cannot say that the film is autobiographical, because I think that I'm the biological son of my father and my mother, because I think that with my father we are on se ressemble beaucoup. I don't know how to say it in English.
We look like a lot.
Yeah, exactly. So, but I think that since my childhood, I've always questioned, you know, the notion of family, the definition and the meaning of a family, because I grew up in a recomposed family, and I think that since I was child, I've questioned myself, what's having a family, what is a family, what's having a brother, what's a half brother, you know, and I think that growing up, these questions became, what's being a father in Tunisia, what's being a mother, what's having a child in Tunisia, what's being a man and an Arab man in Tunisia nowadays. So I think that these questions were the starting point of this story, you know, what's being a family in Tunisia nowadays.
Yeah. You just talked about what's being an Arab man. So the reaction of the main actor when he knew that it wasn't his son was like not so bad. It was okay. He continued to go back to like check on him. He did his best as if he was his like biological son. Did you do that on purpose? Does that really reflect the Arab man or the Tunisian man?
Let me be honest, I don't want to generalize, but I think that that's my vision of fatherhood, you know. The main idea was to question myself and to question the audience and to question Arab societies of what's being a father and what's being a man in the Arab world. But I think that the most important thing is this difference between the biological bond and what's being a father? Is it a biological link? Is it or is it something else? You know, and I think that's the question that I was trying to treat with this film. And I think that being a father is, it may sound like a little bit naive. I think that the main, the most important thing is the love that you can give to our child, and that's for me the meaning of fatherhood or motherhood. You know, and the film is questioning this. He's not the biological father of the son, but he's his father anyway. You know.
What was behind this? The start that was really nice, people having fun, and then things go really bad in like seconds.
Yeah, the 7 minutes before the accident, the film, it's like we are in a cocoon. You know, it's a very it's a pretty family. They look pretty, they look rich, they look happy. Their friends look pretty. You know, everything looks pretty. You know, it's like a vitrine, you know, on Tunisia that seems very pretty in a very external way. But when you go deep inside, you know, you discover things, and you discover things not pretty at all. And I think that it's like their life before it's their life before the accident, and how everything will turn around, and will discover with them everything that was hidden. Yes.
Yeah, correct.
That was hidden, and we go deep inside this family, and we discover everything. So it was very important for me that the first images of the film are very, you know, colorful. There is a lot of joy, there is a lot of smiles, there is a lot of colors, you know. And we go then after in the hospital, and everything is being shaken.
And then terrorism, we see it, and nothing, and we don't talk about it. That there is like a scene on what happened.
Yes.
So you wanted to really also talk about terrorism in Tunisia?
No, it was on purpose to not. You know, it's a part of us. It's a part of our life. But I didn't want to give such an important space to this, because it can happen. It happens. It's happened, and hopefully it will not happen again. But unfortunately, it can happen. So they are in the wrong place, in the wrong time. Know how?
Yes.
Yeah. And unfortunately, it happened to them. So you know, it's I don't know how to say it in English, but it's une balle perdue. And with this gunshot, we discover the past of this family, and the nightmare that will start.
There were just a couple of things that really interested me in the direction and the way it was presented. There were two really, really important conversations that happened, which were actually, you didn't see those conversations. You saw the before and the after, like the conversation that she obviously had with her husband to say that the child was not his, and the conversation she had on the phone with the real father to say, you know, look, those conversations were kind of omitted, which it was interesting, because a lot of films would have shown that in quite a lot of detail. The other thing was, it was a photography kind of thing, but when people were going through a lot of quite deep emotion, they were shown from behind. There were quite a few shots of him and her from behind, and I just, you know, walking down a corridor, I just wondered what the thinking was, why you chose.
Let's repeat. So I was saying that it was on purpose, because with my editor-in-chief, Camille Toukis, we worked on and we think a lot about what are we going to show and what are we going to leave, because it was very important for us to give to the audience keys to understand the story without telling everything. So each one can make his own idea about this past of this family, about the different relationship between the man and his wife in the past, and this woman with her amant. I don't know how to say it, but yeah, with her lover, and we decided to use the ellipse. I don't know how, sorry, but I don't know how to say it in English. It was on purpose. I will give you an example. For example, a very it's the moment when where the father discovers that he's not the biological father of his son, and it's the discussion that he's having with his wife. And we decided that it's not important because the audience knows exactly what his wife will gonna tell him. So it was we decided to go through and to go further, and we were much more interested in the reaction of this non-biological father, instead of having all the story and yes, I came this and I went there, and you know.
Hi. Hi, Mehdi. I wanted to go back to something you said at the beginning. It's about the relationship between father and son. And that brings me to a particular thing that happened at the beginning of the movie, is your own father appearing in the first scene, Khalid Barsaoui, who is also a director and writer. Was it a tribute, an homage to your own father? And I saw that he was the production director as well for the movie.
Yeah.
And what did you learn about your own relationship with your father from this movie?
Very interesting question. Thank you. So let me be honest. It's not a tribute, because the idea came of this family and this picnic in the forest, because they are this group that you see on screen is a real group of nature lovers and this kind of stuff, and they are not only extras, you know. There is also my brother that is my producer in the scene. There is my mother. There is a lot of my family members of my family, and so we don't only see my father. We see almost the whole family, because they are a real group, and it was very important for me that I like authenticity, you know, and I don't like this kind of extra that you bring on set, and they have to discover each other's, and you have to create something, and you have to wait for the alchemy. I don't know how to say it, but it was important for me that this real group, I was searching for a kind of authenticity. So that's the first part of the question. And the second part, let me be honest, another time, I had a very complicated and complex relationship with my father when I was young. It's much better now, and I think that it was very important for me to do the film. It's like growing for me, you know. It's like a lesson for me. It was very important for me to do it before being a father, and I think that now that I, after the film, I became a father, I think that I'm not sure that I will do exactly the same thing right now, you know. I think that a lot of things would have changed, but I think that this film helped me a lot to let me say, to rediscover my father.
I've seen many movies in my life. This is something new for Tunisian style of movies. It's not custom for Tunisians to digest these type of movies. So my question to you, what type of message are you trying to display the fact that the man has discovered that the father, that he's not the biological father of the son, but he acted like more than a father. So this type of message to Tunisian men generally, it's not something they will accept. But despite the fact that the man has understood that the son is not his son, but he acted like more than a father. What was the message? First of all, you're trying to display. Second, is this movie meant to be an export type of movie, more or less for international festivals, or is it meant to be for Tunisian audience? Thank you.
Okay, thank you for your question. So the first part, yeah, I think that the message behind this film is very simple and it's very clear. I think that I was born in Tunis. I've always lived in Tunis, and I think that I can say that I know a little bit Tunisia, and what I'm seeing that I don't want to generalize, but I think that fathers have a very superficial relationship with their son here in Tunisia. It's a very, how can I say? I think that with this film, I want, it's a film for Arab audience, and especially for Tunisian men, and I want them to see if with this film I succeed to convince one man that not being a biological father is not important. I think that I will succeed, in what I want to tell to my society, and I think that it's very important also to bring a message of modernity of Tunisia. We are not all. I think that we can be really modern, but modernity in theory is very good, but when we practice it, it's a little bit more complicated. So here, an example to practice our modernity and to think differently, and that was for me the most important point. For the second part of the question, the film, the premiere of the film was in 2019 in the Venice Film, in the Mostra del Cinema di Venezia, the Venice Film Festival, one of the most important festivals of the world. And the film, since the world premiere, was sold in more than 25 countries around the world. Unfortunately, not in the UK. I don't understand why, but the film has been released in most part of the European countries. It will go. It's on Netflix. It will be on. I think. I don't want to say bullshit, but it will be on December, and there will be a North American release in December. So the film was in a lot of festival, and I think it was a very, very exciting experience because I traveled a lot before, fortunately, before the pandemic. And it was very exciting for me to see that the message was, the film was, the message was very universal, and the film talked to a lot of such different cultures, different people, different religions, and I was really very happy about it.
So, hello everyone. So first of all, it really moved me, and I really look forward to whatever you do next. So my question is not really short, but let's hope your answer will be. I think one thing that impressed me the most with the movie is the writing, and how it manages, with such a starting, with such, a strong starting point with, the son in the hospital, and, actually I'm not the father, etc. it's a very dangerous start because the emotion can go out of control very quickly in the writing, but you manage to always keep it under control and at the same time always powerful and gripping. And so kind of my really broad question is what goes into writing something like that? Did you collaborate with other people? Did you have to kind of recut the movie because at some point you were like, oh no, wait, this cut is too much or not enough, etc. How do you achieve that in a short question's time? Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for your question. So the writing took me 4 years. There were 23 drafts of the script till the last one that we shot. It was, I think, the most complicated part of the elaboration of this film because the film, there is a lot of stuff in the film. There is the intimate space of this family, there is the political background, there is the social background, there is the Libyan background, there is the clinical part and the medical part of the film. So it took me 4 years. I started alone for the 3 first years, and then I collaborated with Magali Negoni, a script doctor, and I'm really happy that you mentioned the fact that the emotion was always under control, because I think the most important thing for me was to avoid pathos and to avoid the melodramatic part of the film, because the script is already dramatic, and I didn't want to put another level of drama on the film. So it was very important to concentrate on this family, to concentrate on this man, on this woman, on their struggle to save their children, and that's it.
Thank you, Mehdi. So my last question is more of a feedback I had from many members. Most of the movies we have at this festival are not very happy, like they are on the dark side, sad, and our question is, like, we noticed that after the revolution, most of the Tunisian movies they talk about like problems, and really it's a bit dark and sad, and when we watch them, we don't have this joyful feeling after watching the movie. So do you feel like, do you also notice the same? And can we think or expect to have more joyful Tunisian cinema as more movies, or do you have any plans to have a joyful, happy story movie?
I think that's absolutely normal, because what we are going through and what we are living is not easy at all, and it's not very joyful. I think that it's normal that we see this in our cinema because we are treating social dilemmas, we are treating social problems, and I think that I don't want to say that it's our role or our mission, but I think that it's very truthful, fidèle. It's very truthful to the reality that we are living here in Tunis. That's why I think the most part, even there is also comedies, in the Tunisian cinema. But I think that the films that are getting exported are not so joyful. But I think that it's like life, you go, sometimes you go through joyful moments, sometimes you go through more painful moments, but I think that if there is emotion, if there is authenticity, I think that I'm convinced that cinema and emotion in the cinema are not, you cannot pre-order, it's not like a receipt that, I want to be, I think that there is Netflix for this, or there is soap for this, but I think that if cinema is truthful, and if it's authentic, and if it's sincere, I think that everything, you'll feel it. But I agree that it's not the most joyful cinema. But if you go also to watch also the Arab cinema nowadays, it's not joyful at all. Even I think that all the period that we are living, but I'm sure that it will be.
We will have better days.
Yes, yes. I'm really optimistic, really.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Finishing on this optimistic note.